I would like to call to order the City of Cherryville's regular City Council meeting of Monday, December the 11th, 2023. Before we have our invocation, I have one announcement I need to make, and that is concerning citizens to be heard. I know the citizens to be heard, you have a sign-up sheet, but when we get down to other business, we are going to have another open discussion. And I want all the people that are here to know that you will have a chance to speak after the city council brings some information before you under other business. It's not a line item, it would be the next to last thing before adjournment. So you will be able to speak again on that subject. So at this time, I'm going to ask everyone to please stand for our invocation by Pastor Zach Christie, and followed by our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us go to God in prayer. Good and gracious God, we give you so much thanks and praise, dear Lord, for the gift of this day. And Lord, for the gift of this wonderful community here in Cherryville. Lord, we give you thanks. Father, we pray that your hand would be upon each and every individual who makes up this wonderful town. Lord, we pray that you would be with our leaders, that you would give them wisdom, insight, and discernment. And Father, we pray that as we go forward, that we would learn to better love and serve our neighbors as we learn to better love and serve you. For it is in your holy name, and in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we do pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. The first item on our agenda tonight is to approve our agenda as presented. At this time, I would ask council for direction on approval of our agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. I'll second.
Have a motion to approve the agenda as presented with 2 seconds. At this time, all in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, the same. And there is none. Next item would be approval of our minutes of our City Council regular meeting of November the 13th, 2023. What is the council's pleasure on approving our minutes?
Make a motion that we go ahead and approve the minutes as we read them for November the 13th.
Second.
Have a motion to approve the minutes as presented for our City Council regular meeting of November the 13th, 2023. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same, and it is unanimous. Next item on our agenda is the mayor's comments, and I will be very brief tonight because we do have a lengthy agenda. Despite the rain, Whoville and the annual Christmas parade both were big successes for our city. Over 5,000 people were estimated to attend these two events. The downtown merchants were pleased with the events and the business that it produced. These events take a lot of planning and hard work by many different city departments and individuals as well. The city would like to acknowledge and thank Mary Beth Tackett and all her volunteers for all the tireless work in ensuring that these events were successful for our city and its citizens. Westgate Park now has a 6-foot fencing installed at the pickleball courts. 8-foot fencing for the basketball court will soon follow. The city plans for an official reopening of this park in the near future. The city has finished paying for the engineering costs for the new water line that will be installed on Highway 150. City engineer Riesel Wright and city manager Brian Dalton are pushing to get this project's bid out as soon as possible. This new water line is critical to completing the loop of our city water system to prevent dead ends. The future housing development on Reekway Road is now ready to start development. Equipment for this project has started to move onto the property. And along the same lines, the contractors for the apartments on East Academy have announced that grading and construction will begin on December the 15th of this year. Finally, on behalf of the Cherryville City Council, our city staff, and all our city workers, season. And please always remember the reason for the season, and that is the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. We will now move on to other business, and the first item is a special recognition, and at this time, I'm going to ask Councilmember Malcolm Parker if he would come in front of the chambers. This is always one of the toughest things a mayor has to do, and that is to let somebody go that has been here so long. And I will try to keep it as brief as possible, Malcolm, and I hope I can get through this. But this guy has worked for us for the 12 years, and has been very instrumental in what we have done as a city for the last 10 years. And so Malcolm, this is presented to Edward Malcolm Parker in recognition of dedicated service to the city of Cherryville and its citizens while serving as council member from 2011 to 2023, and is presented December the 11th, 2023. Congratulations, Malcolm. Also, you have the floor if there's anything you wish to say at this time.
I'd just like to thank the good Lord and the citizens of Cherryville for these last 12 years. And I would also like to thank the mayor, city council, Brian Dalton, and all of our city employees for the hard work and dedication they have put into this town in the last 12 years. And just wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Our next item on the agenda is our swearing in ceremony. And at this time, I would like to have our District Court Judge, Craig Collins, if he will come forward, and any members of Janice Hovis' family that would like to come forward for her swearing in. And Janice, if you would like to tell us who the members of your family are, we're going to get them recognized just as well, and we'll get a photo op too.
Okay, this is my grandmother, Mary Beth Wyatt. She's going to hold a Bible for me. Today is her 24th birthday. I love my Mary Beth. Yes. This is my daughter, Julie Wiles, and my son, David Hovis, and my son-in-law, Tracy Wiles, and everybody else. Okay, all right, that's it for right now.
Okay. I would ask everyone to please stand.
I'm so sorry.
Everyone, please stand. Okay, sure.
So, Ms. Hovis asked me to make just a couple of quick comments before we get started. As a judge, it's a great honor that people ask us to come out and do these. I think that the oath of office is the true symbol of our political spirit in this nation, of peaceful transfer of power, of peaceful handing of the baton when someone leaves office, and just the true greatness and wisdom of our founders. And so it's always an honor. To get to come to Cherryville and do it is also a great honor. I have so many friends. The mayor, who's been such a strong friend of mine, Paige, thank you so much for all the support you've always shown me down the court system. We have a great community here in Cherryville and throughout Gaston County. It's great to hear the mayor talk about the reason for Christmas. To have a city council that's proud to have In God We Trust here across the front, and to have a city council government that understands where the powers come from and what the limitations are, and who actually endowed us with the rights that we have. So that's a great privilege. But on a personal note, that's kind of some I thought of this as a whole. But when Janice Hovis asked me to do the oath today, it's a great honor. I've known her husband, Ron, for many years. We have Senator Overcash in the back. Senator Brad Overcash and I got to serve with Ron on the Gaston College Board of Trustees. And let me tell you, we have a great community college, and Ron is one of the big reasons for that. He was instrumental in every major initiative we did, and it was a great privilege to get to serve with him. So we're here in honor of his service as well. And I made the comment earlier, he would be so proud of his wife right now and wondering what she's thinking at the same time. So I hope that you'll join me in ongoing prayers for Janice Hovis, along with the rest of the City Council and Mayor, to continue the great work that this leadership has done, and to give them the wisdom to know what to do. But I just want to make a comment of how much of an honor it is to get to stand here with someone that I have great respect for, along with your entire family. And every time I meet you or met Ron, I found new family members of yours that I've been friends with for a long time. So it really is a privilege. So thank you. Are you ready to receive the oath?
I sure am.
Okay, if you will, you guys can position yourselves where around, but if you will put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, and you'll repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Janice Hovis,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor to support,
that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the state,
the Constitution and laws of the state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office as council member.
the duties of my office as council member.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's proper to have each Thank you. I am so honored.
Councilmember Hovis, if you will take your
You got to see the name?
seat now.
Okay, let's get my, yeah, Judge. Who wants to get those pictures with this?
Oh, we'll get one by show.
Yeah, just, okay, one with the family. Okay.
You can sit down. may be seated. We're not finished. We've got a couple more here that we're gonna swear in tonight. And at this time, I'm gonna ask Councilmember John Abernathy if he will come forward with any family members that he has here tonight in front of the podium. And we have Municipal City Clerk, North Carolina Municipal City Clerk, Paige Hallman, who will do the installation for us. And at this time, I'm going to ask everyone to stand again.
I, John Abernathy,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and laws of the United States,
and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established for the government thereof,
which are or may be established for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor to support,
that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution and laws of said state,
the Constitution and laws of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
and I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as council member,
as a council member.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I feel like I'm in circus up and down, but you may be seated. We do have one more to swear in at this time, and I will come forward and ask our North Carolina Certified Municipal Clerk and my family members that would like to come forward. Have my grandson here, Harrison Walker, my oldest daughter, Angela Walker, and my youngest daughter, Ashley Long. And they're gonna hold the Bible. Who's gonna hold the Bible? Harry's gonna hold the Bible, okay.
I, Henry.
Everybody please stand up.
I, Henry Lee Dean III,
I, Henry Lee Dean III,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and laws of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established for the government thereof,
which are or may be established for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor to support,
that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution and laws of said state,
the Constitution and laws of said state,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as mayor,
as mayor.
so help me God.
So help me God. You wanna go home?
Sorry, boss.
Okay, it's customary at this time that I allow the newly installed individuals, if they have any comments they would like to present to our citizens or to the council. And I'll start with Council Member Janice Hovis.
Thank you, Mayor Bing. I am honored and I'm extremely humbled that the voters of our city showed confidence and trust in me as they elected me to serve on this city council for the next 4 years. As most of you know, as well probably as most of us here on the dais, I've lived here all my life, with the exception of 1 year in Charlotte attending college. I'm excited and I'm ready to serve in this capacity, and I look forward to working alongside Jill and John and Gary and Mayor Bean and Mr. Dalton, our city manager, Mr. Dalton. Everybody sitting up here, I am sure, wants the best for our city. But I would like to add one last thing. We're not going to agree on everything. We will not agree on everything. And we have had a couple issues over the past couple years that have divided the town. And I've attended a couple city council meetings prior to filing for election, and maybe one after I filed for election. I would just like to say, we must strive. We must strive, even though we disagree. We must strive to communicate with each other and to communicate with the citizens of Cherryville in a respectful manner and with kindness. Thank you very much. Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
We'll move on to Councilman John Abernathy. Do you have any comments at this time?
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of good things in the last 4 years. I think our town is heading in a wonderful direction. I'm looking forward to the next 4 years, and I think it's only going to get better from here. So thank you, citizens of Cherryville, for giving me 4 more years.
And that does bring us to my comments. You know what you get with me. I've been here 10 years. I'm going to be here for at least 2 more years, and I do promise you this. There will not be any decisions I make that I do not think is for, not personal, but for the best for our city and its citizens. I love everybody in this town. I've been here for 79 years. I've been on business on Main Street for over 60 years. So I love this town, and I will strive to keep it as positive as I can. And I hope that I can govern with wisdom in my mind and Christianity in my heart for the citizens of Cherryville. Thank you. We'll move on now to consideration of the presentation in regards to our 2022-23 audit. And we have Mrs. Sheila Thornton, a CPA, Managing Partner with Butler & Stowe. You have the floor now if you would like to come to the podium.
Thank you for having me tonight. I just want to let you know that I presented a copy of the audit to the council members. It's about an 85-page report, so I'm just going to hit a couple highlights for you guys, let you know the important parts. We began the audit in September, and we finished the fieldwork in early October. We were able to issue the submit the report to the LGC by the October 31st deadline, and they approved it in November, so you guys are good with your deadlines for the year. There were no financial performance indicators of concern. If you had any of those, we would have had to let you know at this meeting that there were some concerns that needed to be addressed. We don't have any of those this year. So you don't have to do anything else as far as the LGC is concerned until next year. But we did perform a single audit. You guys had spent in excess of $750,000 in federal funds, and that's the ARPA monies, the American Rescue Plan monies. So it did require a single audit, so there were some additional procedures performed this year. All of that went well. We didn't find any kind of discrepancies or anything. So we found the books to be in very good order, and we're given all the information when we asked for it. So everything was in good order. So our opinion on the audit is that it's an unqualified opinion. That means that it's a clean opinion. We didn't have any kind of discrepancies that we would need to note and talk about tonight. That is what you want. You want a clean opinion when you do an audit, okay? So everything went well. So you have met the audit requirements of the North Carolina General Statutes, and we believe these financial statements represent the financial status of the city at June 30, 2023. I'll just point out a couple of the highlights, and these mostly can be found on pages 2 through 11. That's a summary of everything. The city ended the year with combined assets exceeding your liabilities by $23,439,416. And that's an increase over the prior year of over $635,000. So a good healthy financial condition at June 30. The unassigned fund balance of the general fund was $2,419,747 at June 30. And that amount represents funds that are unrestricted and they are available to the council without any kind of restriction. So that's good. That's a good number there. And then I just wanted to point out the two enterprise funds, your electric and your water and sewer. You guys had a combined income of $421,089 for the year ended June 30, 2023. So overall, you have increases in the fund balance from 2022 to 2023. So I feel like you had a good, healthy year as far as your finances are concerned.
Okay.
In the back, you will see the compliance part of the audit, and that is a requirement of the LGC to present the federal monies that were received. I believe that's on page 81. You'll see that that's the American Rescue Plan monies that were received. You received $967,622, and those were spent during the year. So I just wanted to point that out, since that's a compliance thing, make sure you guys knew that's in the back of here. Any kind of questions that I can answer for you guys, or at the moment?
Only comment I would make, I'm looking on page 2, and that is the percent of our fund balance is that correct, 31.2%?
That means that you have in fund balance, you have 31.2% of the general fund expenditures for the fiscal year already in the bank. Okay, so that's a good healthy percentage.
City manager, is that the highest we've ever had?
It's definitely the highest I know of.
Okay. I remember when they were giving us that in point
0.7.
percentage, and now we're at 31.2, which I know that makes the state happy also.
It does, it does.
So, okay. Does any council member have any questions for Mrs. Thornton?
No, it's always wonderful
that's
to
what we
hear
wanna
we
hear.
have a healthy,
It is.
right?
I don't at this time, but I
Okay.
may later.
That's fine.
Just want to thank Dixie and
Yes,
Brian
that's-
for putting together everything they needed for this good audit.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
Ditto. And I know you work a lot on it, because I see you at City Hall many, many days. Working back there in the back office, the conference room by yourself a lot of times. And I know Dixie's right with you to answer any questions you have, and Brian also,
Yeah,
so.
I want to thank Brian and Dixie, both. They've been very,
Because-
very, very helpful in getting the process to go very smoothly.
And we're extremely happy with Butler and Stowe.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
the opportunity to be of service, and if we can help you anyway, just let us know.
Okay.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Item 10 is citizens to be heard. Any citizen that would like to speak may do so by coming to the podium, stating your name and address, and the comments will be strictly held to 5 minutes per person. So at this time, do I have any citizens? I have 2 that have signed up, and in order that I received them, I will call them forward. The first one is Sid Strap. If you'd come forward.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Sid Strap, and I live at 207 West Academy Street. I was just wanting to give a real quick update on what we call the Cherry Tree Project for 2023. I'd like to say that it was, we completed the planting. There were 100 trees. The majority of them that did go to the city cemetery, which is where we had identified that it would really spruce the area up to have those out there. And then we also targeted some other areas. Have you all seen some of these things around town? The goal of our little group here is that we really love the cherry trees, right? And we want to make Cherryville, we'd like to refer to it in the future as the Jefferson Memorial of the South, okay? That's going to be our goal as we move into the years forward. You know, I lived away from here for quite a while, and people would say, oh, where are you from? Cherryville. Oh, I bet you have just cherry trees everywhere. And I would say, well, we do have some, but we could use more. And so I really appreciate the council and everyone's support as we got this together. Just real briefly, we did have one benefactor that contributed the funds to do the total planning. And we're really thankful to him. It's John B. Talbert from Wrightsville Beach. He's a Cherryville native. He and his wife, Judy Blackwelder Talbert, wanted to do this. Now, I will admit, this is a secret for Judy. John wants to let her know about this planting of cherry trees on Christmas Day, and he's doing this in honor of what they call the Cherryville Cherries. This was a group of about 8 or 10 women that graduated in the CHS class of 1957, and he wanted to do it in honor of them. You know, every year for the last, I think I counted 60-something years, they would get together and come to Cherryville. They love to get together here and revisit their families and friends and that sort of thing. So it's a secret. If anybody happens to talk to your buddy or Judy in particular, don't let her know that this has happened. But she'll be aware Christmas Day, and I will follow up just to say I want to thank my sister Carol. Carol and I went around several months ago, and we did a complete inventory, and this is everything all over town, of every cherry tree that we have planted today. So we have, you know, a plan that we would like to continue this, like we said, next year and in the next, to target those areas that would really give us some good high visibility of these beautiful cherry trees in the spring. I think that's it. If you have any questions, I'll take them, but I would like people's help. If you see that we need to stake one up here and there, if they look dry next summer, please let us know, because we're going to make sure that these things survive and that Mr. Talbert's investment is here to stay.
Okay, the comment I would have, I got a guided tour of the cherry trees by city manager as recently as today. So we were riding all over town. My one question would be, and he would point out to me, the new ones are the one that have the mulch around.
That's right.
That's how you know the new ones from the old ones. But did y'all also do work on some of the old ones? Because
Well,
I noticed a lot of them have been trimmed.
They've been trimmed.
Uh-huh.
That's been our goal, was to go back. You know, Mr. Barker gave, I guess, a lot of money in the previous years where they were planted, but they just haven't been trimmed as they should. I think now when you see them, they'll have a slim, trim trunk to them, and they will start growing up and out. and that's where the flowers will really take off. So yes, we've gone around town, we still have a few more places, I think around City Hall to do some trimming, but this is our goal to make Cherryville, like I said, the Jefferson
Memorial of the South.
And with that, I'll thank you all.
Okay, is any other council members have any questions for Mr. Strode? Okay.
Did you do the actual planning?
Yes, that was done by David Wise Landscaping.
Okay.
We bought the trees directly from the grower in McMinnville, Tennessee. Yeah, and they're really quality plantings. He drove them all the way from Tennessee one morning and left them with David. David picked them up, and then we actually got them all in the ground in one day. I mean, there was sort of a process that we used to dig, plant, mulch, and move on. So,
I'll be getting in touch with you in January.
thank you,
for
Jim.
that little project.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another individual that has signed up to speak. If you would come to the podium, state your name and address, and remember, comments will be held to 5 minutes.
Good evening, my name is Arthur Robledo, and I live at 532 Tot Dillinger Road. And I'm just here to note that I had a water leak in front of my property. I'm not connected to the city water, I use well water. But I had this new pond growing in my front yard. And it turns out it was city water that was leaking into the property. And when I called the city water department, they came over, and the gentlemen's that, or the men and the women, they came over and helped me figure out where it was leaking from. I determined that it was city water, and we got it fixed, and it got done within a week or so. And I just wanted to thank them for the work that they did, and the water that they may have saved after we turned it off, because it'd been running since May. We just got it done a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. So I would suggest that maybe the water department invest in a water monitoring system. Thank you very much. I did email the mayor.
You did.
Manager,
Yeah.
a few other people, but I never heard anything back, so that's why.
Yeah, I sent you a reply, Mr. Robledo, I did. And did you not also give me a phone call? Or someone did about the same thing that was going on? And I called back on that and it went to voicemail. So I wasn't sure I had the right number. But I see your number is 303898, and that doesn't sound like the same number. But anyway, thank you so much for your concern.
Yeah, I lost it. But thank you all.
Okay, thank you for coming. Okay, is there any other citizen that would like to be heard at this time? And as I mentioned at the first of our meeting, you will have another chance to comment later on in our meeting. So we'll move on now to item 11, and this is consideration of vehicles for hire. And this is regarding a permit that the city has, or planning and zoning has received for the city on a taxi service. And our city manager, Brian Dalton, will lead us through that. It's pages 12 through 14 in your agenda packet.
Yes, Mayor, Council, we were approached by Mr. Bombardier a few weeks ago about a potential taxi service here in town. Obviously, we've not had one of those, to my knowledge, in my lifetime. I think at some point we used to have one. But our ordinances lay out what you have to do to get a permit in order to operate a taxi cab service. Now, some of this is a little outdated, obviously, with the coming of Uber and things like that. But as far as our ordinance goes, the permit has to be issued by the city council. And if you look there on page 12 and going through page 14, it has all the rules and what has to be met. And specifically, page 13, 1 through 8 is the issues that you look at as far as determining if you would issue this permit. So if you would decide to issue the permit, at that point, the police chief then is responsible for making sure that the taxi cab service has certain markings on the car so that it's known what they're doing, who they are, and the other thing is they have to do criminal background checks to make sure nobody's been convicted of any certain felonies or anything like that to operate the taxi cab service. And Mr. Bombardier, yep, and I think you've been working with Mr. Lael here in town maybe about, some decals for identification purposes. And like I said, from that point forward, if you would issue the permit, then like I said, it's on the police chief to make sure that he follows all the rules, you know, the proper insurance, the criminal background checks and all that. And I think you said 4 cars, is that what you're?
I'm sorry. My name is Don Mondale, I'm 124 Oakley Lane, Cherryville.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you guys for letting me speak first of all. I know you haven't had a taxi service since the 60s or whatever the case is. I know we were joking around about it. Thank you for
Yeah, you'll come here, there's a microphone.
So, after Chief, speaking with Brian, it's been very helpful, Jim and the Chief. And I also want to let you know that I went to all the schools, my grandchildren go to the schools here. I spoke to the principals and the teachers. They want this so bad because a lot of the students get sick. But I can't pick up my kid, too bad, leave them there for the day, right? They can't give excuses. As you know, there's not a lot of Uber or Lyft or anything else. I went to the local hospitals, I went to Lincolnton, I went to Shelby. I've, like I said, the schools, local businesses, spoken to many people I think we need. You know, ever since COVID, a lot of people couldn't go out, they were sick, they couldn't even shop. Well, thank God we got past it. But at this point, I think accessibility is the most important thing, and dependability. You know, getting from point A to point B, getting people home safe. Now, is it a risk? I don't know, every business is a risk, but I'm here in Cherryville 3 years, I own multiple companies, and I plan on opening up a couple more in Cherryville. So, my companies are not here, they're in Charlotte and some other places, but I plan on being more involved in the community. I think this is good for everybody, good for the parents, good for the schools, and they really, really need them. And, you know, we got possibly lithium mine, we have a sports bar coming in, we have a steakhouse coming in, we have, people are gonna drink. There's no, call us, we'll get you home safe. Why take the risk and put more pressure on the police department or anybody else, the fire department, DWIs, and it's not worth it, we don't want that here. So, if you allow me to do this, I run legitimate businesses, I've never been sued. I just won the 2023 Service Award for the best business in North Carolina for my fence company, and my construction company, my landscaping company, you know, good workers. I'm not gonna have young kids behind the wheel. I don't need cowboys behind the wheel running around cabs all over town driving the police crazy. So, now all the gentlemen, gentleman who was up here that you replaced,
Parker.
I'm sorry, Parker. He asked to come work for me. I said, absolutely, he knows everybody in town, he knows somebody. I mean, he's a nice guy, you know, he's bored. So, not gonna have young kids, see, you know, people who know the community really and know the people. I'm not gonna put anybody at risk. I will have cameras in the car. I'm not gonna put anybody at risk. And I think it'd be a service to the community and other communities, because we got a lot of things in the pipeline eventually coming here, right? So, you know, if you guys allow me to do this. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. I might be involved in that also, do my construction company, my landscaping, you know. I've been in emails on that. And, I don't have a phone number on me yet, not to your purview. And, I'm gonna start with these 2 cabs. Okay, 2. I don't know what the time limits will be, but I will have them out from, I've already had 40 phone calls from residents in town that do travel a lot, that go to Charlotte Airport and things like that. They can't get Lyft, they can't get Uber. Donnie, absolutely, if they approve it, I'll take it. You know, the schools, and it'll also be accessibility. I'm trying to figure that out, accessibility. I'll have a separate one possibly for wheelchairs, okay? And I'm starting a medical transport company, but that's through the state, obviously. But I'm gonna have something for ADA accessibility. So, and for pets. You know, a lot of people need to rush their pet to the vet. I'm not gonna deny a pet, I would never do that. Not because it's a service dog, because I'm a pet lover. We'll take it to, you know, I think we need this in town. So,
Okay.
if you guys allow this, I've already went over the bylaws and, what it would be, 4-inch lettering, anything, the background checks with the chief, I've already spoke to them about. he'll handle that. They'll have to go to the courthouse, get the background checks, and then go through it. Not gonna have felon, none of that stuff.
I just had a situation, and it was last week, and my first cousin called me. She has a child at East Elementary. The bus driver was out. They did not have a
They didn't
backup
have the
bus.
backup, yeah.
So she and her husband both worked, so the call was made to her cell phone.
Yep.
Come and get your child. And she said, automatically that put me out. What am I supposed to do? Do I jeopardize leaving my job? Do I call my husband and he doing the same? So actually she wound up calling my sister and was able to get her to go pick the child up, but that would have been a perfect
My
example.
wife had to took our 2 grandkids, and then picked up 4 more, because they know I got a lot of trucks in my construction. They said, can you stop by and pick us up? She made 2 trips, and her car is 7 passenger. That's the Kia Sport, all right, so, and she goes, if you had the camp company up, everybody would have called you. I said, oh, no, but I know all about that, so, and they are late sometimes too, they don't show for half an hour, whatever the case is. But, you know, we service, obviously, the drugstores, everything that needs to be done, people, you know, seniors to get the medications, whatever you need, you know, Walmart, I went and spoke to Walmart, they're all for it. Because these people stand outside for hours waiting to get picked up, and it's just, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, so they like to get them in and get them out, so.
Okay. Is any council members, I'm sure you want, not only discussion, but you probably want us to take action on this if all possible tonight. My only concern would be that the police chief, do you have any problems at all with
No, sir.
the service?
I have spoken with Ms. Bombardier on numerous occasions. We went over the guidelines. I'm okay with doing what is requested in the city.
The 8 points here
Yeah.
that we have on page 13. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, City Manager Dalton, what would your recommendation be that we approve this?
Yes, Mayor, I have no problems with it, and I just want to point out too, on page 13, you know, they have to have an initial inspection to get started, but that doesn't end there. Every 6 months, he has to bring, like he mentioned, 2 cars. He has to bring those 2 cars back. If you look at section B there, he has to bring those 2 cars back and they get inspected again.
Yeah.
So it's every 6 months, so it's
Every
not
6
like
months.
you approve it and
Yep.
it just keeps continuing.
Okay.
You have to maintain that inspection.
Council Member Ovis?
Brian, the preliminary, requirements here, I guess that starts on page 12.
Okay.
Um,
Yes.
do we need any kind of action before it goes to the police chief? Or have you checked everything that has to be done before you turn it over to the police chief? Has he complied with?
I have to get a background checks,
The preliminaries.
yeah, from the Gaston County Courthouse. My cars, as you see from here, have to get inspected regularly, okay? Then they go through another inspection through the chief with the 4-inch lettering, everything else, up to safety standards. And it'll already have the pre-inspection. As for the background checks and that goes through the courthouse over there, they get their copy, they go to the chief, he does his little talk, he wants to talk to, you know, whatever his thing is. Boom, they get a temporary taxi permit, and then within 30 days, they'll get a regular one, which buys the chief some time to fully go through everything that needs to be done. Now, we're just sending the, nobody else has care companies in the other counties. They've all contacted me already. I talked to all the chief police, they're all very interested in this due to, but, like you said, we're gonna set the standard here in Cherryville.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure everything was in order before we issue a license.
Once you
But
give.
I think if we issue it and then one of these things falls through, then he doesn't get it.
yes,
Exactly.
And then the chief says, okay, it's done.
Well, you're issuing the permit.
Permit.
You're issuing the permit for him to start the process.
yeah.
But once he starts the process and goes through the chief of police and does all these requirements and proves all this, at that point, he's able
We're
to.
just issuing the permit.
That would be
Thank you very
correct.
much.
That would be
Thank you,
correct.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
so you issue the permit, and then I'm able to get a cab, and then I gotta get with the chief, and then he does inspections, and I'm off and running. So,
Yep.
and the background checks. Thank you very much, I really appreciate this, and I look forward to, every 6 months too, like you said, per inspection, if there's something that we need to go over, say there's a flaw or something, we could adjust it every 6 months, right? We could say, hey, we did this, we're gonna be the guinea pigs, we can check it out, right? So,
Okay.
all right, so thank you very much, and I look forward to doing business with everybody.
Okay,
I'm gonna leave my business cards in the back there.
okay,
If anybody's gonna hold me any questions, or I look forward to hearing from you guys.
okay.
Thanks again.
Okay.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Um, Council, have any other discussion? Do you want to take any action?
I
I
make
just
a
want to let
motion
you
to
know,
approve
sir,
the permit.
Cody Helmsley from Tint Daddies, who's the owner in town of Tint Daddies, will be doing all the decalling. He's done much of the
Oh,
decalling.
okay.
Cameras.
Yeah, it looks
all the
good.
Cameras, everything.
Looks
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, I'll make a motion to issue the permit for a taxi service.
Okay, have a motion and a second to issue a permit regarding a taxi service for the city of Cherryville. Any other discussion at this time? If not, all in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. It is unanimous. Okay,
Thank
you
you.
got your
God
permit.
bless.
All right, next item is consideration of proposed bids on the new gymnasium. And if you'll go to page 15 through 30 on your laptops. And our city manager, Brian Dalton, will lead us through this. There's been a lot of discussion on the gym, and we're finally getting to the process where we've got to choose who's gonna build it for us, so.
Yes, Mayor, Council, as you know, we've been talking about this for several months now. We've actually already entered into an interlocal agreement with Gaston County where they are gonna provide $1.5 million towards this project. We put this out for bid after getting the engineered plans. At first, we had, at a pre-bid meeting, we had 8 contractors show up for the pre-bid meeting. But as the project kept going and it got closer to time to bid, a lot of the smaller contractors started dropping off. So we were left with 2 large contractors that were gonna bid, so we had to really re-advertise because we did not get 3 bids at the time that they were due originally. So we re-advertised at that point, and when bids were due at this time, we received 2 bids. One from Quinn Sales, which most of you probably know as Custom Builders. Custom Builders built Caramont Urgent Care here in town just this past year or 2. The other individual that bid, or company that bid, was Beam Construction. Quinn Sales came in at the low bid of $1,643,363. So at this time, I am requesting that they be awarded the contract to bid the gymnasium.
For information purposes only, can you tell us what the other bid was? And
Yes, it is public record. If you go down to,
that's gonna be page 26.
yes, page 26, Beam Construction bid $1,864,000, and that comes to a difference of $220,637.
Any council members have any question for City Manager Dalton on the 2 bids?
Who's Quinn Sales out of?
They're out of Gaston. Like I said, they built the Caramont Urgent Care, and one of their project managers is Keith Gardo, and then Dustin Millwood also.
Okay, but the recommendation from our city manager is to accept the first bid, which was $200,000 less, or 200 some,
220,000.
220 some, okay.
And if you look, also on the bids, Quinn Sales have proposed 200 calendar days once they start
Let's do it.
completed.
They
Yes,
include
ma'am.
any contingencies that could increase the amount.
Well, as far as the price, now that would be up to us if we have change orders. But as far as what exactly is bid out, you know, the 8,800 square foot gymnasium with the hardwood floors and, you know, if we do it exactly how it's bid and do the parking lot exactly how the site plans turned out and we don't hit any problems, then no, that is what the price would be.
Mayor, if you're ready for a motion, I'll make the motion.
Okay, yeah. Any other discussion? If not, what's the pleasure of council?
I'll make the motion to award the bid to Quinn Sales Incorporated for $1,643,363. I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to award the bid process to Quinn Sales out of Gastonia. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of this motion, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. It is unanimous. Okay. And you might want to mention, didn't Quinn Sales say they could build it in 200 days?
That's what, yeah, exactly. That's what's on their bid, 200
Okay.
calendar days.
Okay.
Now,
That's-
of course, that,
6.5
Depending on weather.
months.
depending on weather,
Yeah,
you know.
okay.
When can they start?
No,
Well,
they're
we'll
gonna
get a
start
contract-
tomorrow.
We'll get a contract drawn up.
Mayor,
Obviously-
One question, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm so
uh-huh.
sorry. The, 143,363, where are we gonna get that money?
That is gonna come from, our community development agreement with Piedmont Lithium. We're gonna move 150,000 from it, from the first 500,000 that we received from them. We're gonna move that 150 to cover the remaining balance of the gym.
Thank you, Brian.
That is one of the possibilities, but there's also, it may be open that we could go back to the county. If it starts getting higher and higher, we can go back to the county commissioners, and because they were actually looking at the first location right close to 2 million to
Well-
build that soccer field beside East School. So I think they shorted us a little bit there to start with. So I think that's viable, that we could go back to them
Okay.
if it just starts ballooning up higher and higher.
Hope
So
not. Hope
And like I
not.
said, that's what shouldn't happen. That's why we bid it the way
yeah,
we did.
I hope.
Is we have, you know, for an example is the roof. You know,
Mhm.
the engineered plans came with a screw down roof, and every contractor that I talked to said the same thing. You don't want that type of roof. You're gonna want a standard seam roof. So we changed that. So we went to a higher roof. So all of that is bid into this project. So unless we do something on our end to change it,
It should come in
it
at
should
that.
come in at where it's at.
Could run into problems though when they start grading, because there've been some water lines and sewer lines,
Well,
old ones found in that area.
you know, that's some things that, yes, you're correct, Mr. Freeman. We don't know what's gonna happen when they start and what's underneath the ground. We don't know for sure.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item 13, which is consideration of the water agreement with Lincoln County. Again, our city manager will lead us through that, and if you'll jump to page 31, that's where the agreement begins, and city manager, you have the
Yes.
floor now.
Mayor, city council, the mayor and I actually met with Mayor Hatley and city manager Haynes with Lincoln about our agreement with the city of Lincoln on our interconnect. I'm gonna say this interconnect has probably been in since, what, early 2000s maybe, when we had a serious drought back in the early 2000s. But we've always been charged $3.05 per 1,000 gallons when we would purchase water from the city of Lincoln. So, we negotiated this contract to change that to $1.50 per 1,000 gallons. That's gonna be a huge savings to us, of course. So if you look on page 31 there, under number 1, about middle way down, you'll see there, that's the price of $1.50 per 1,000 gallons, but we can get up to 1.2 million gallons per day from the city of Lincoln. Let me see, the other
So all those changes that we worked on and talked about have been done, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
they're- Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's the main thing, right?
What we
Is-
took out was the minimum purchase,
Yeah.
that was the big thing, and the other thing is, that's right. City of Lincoln had their council meeting last Thursday, and they approved this new agreement. And there was one thing that they changed. If you'll go to page 33, under number 6. The only thing they changed, and what this is the $1,800 that we talked about in electric costs that they have on a given year, because it's three-phase down there at the pump station. If we would end up not turning the interconnect on at all and never turn it on, there's $1,800 that, well, there's actually $300 a month, so $3,600. So we've agreed to split
half.
that price. So the only thing that they changed on that though is under, instead of the word remaining, it's gonna be the difference in balance will be paid to Lincoln within 45 days. So what I'm saying is if we buy, which we're always gonna buy more than $900 worth of water, or $1,800 if we turn it on. But if we buy $900 worth of water, then we owe $900 at the end of the year, not $1,800. But I feel like we're probably gonna be buying some water at some point. I mean, and it's worth it for us just to turn it on, no matter what, to purchase that amount. And this would go into effect immediately, and actually it's gonna revert back to a bill that we had, several months ago, and he's gonna change the rate from $3.05 per thousand back to the $1.50, which is gonna save us about $40,000 in a bill.
So we did get a win-win on that.
It's a win-win. The only thing that I would point out, I don't see us or the city of Lincoln ever wanting to cancel this contract. I really don't. This is a 10-year contract, so if we enter into this contract, it's valid for 10 years. If you ever choose to cancel the contract, you gotta give 5 years notification. And the reason for that is, let's say Lincoln buys a pump that they have to use to get the water to us. Well, if they've got that money invested in buying that pump, they don't want us to be able to cancel this contract in 6 months. So it's you gotta give them notice. If you look there, if we wanna cancel it January 1, 2034, we need to tell them January 1, 2029. So, and if you see the chart there, and it just goes forth from there. But I believe it's a great deal for the city of Cherryville, for sure.
What it comes down to is they're competing with Cleveland County to try to get Piedmont lithium water.
I wasn't gonna say it, but there you go. Yeah, they would love to be able to sell us a
And
lot
they
of
know
water.
we're gonna get that interconnect with Cleveland too, so.
But I think
Put us
that
in a good
helps us
position to-
into
negotiate.
negotiating with
Oh,
Cleveland
absolutely.
County. I mean, we can always say, we just
That-
talked to Lincoln, and this is what they offered us.
Yeah, the
So
inter-
we're surely not gonna pay you more.
The interconnect that Cleveland County is doing with us right now, they're proposing a $2.09 per thousand. Where obviously, we're gonna get this one for $1.50, so you would turn this one on first.
Do we have to give them so many days' notice before we turn the valve on?
No, ma'am. Well, we let them know, but no, if we would need to go turn it on right now.
Yeah, we can do it
We just have to
tomorrow.
call them and say, hey, we're gonna have to go turn the interconnect on, and we go down on Highway 150 right there in Kraus, we turn it on and
Okay,
go from there.
all right.
Okay, any other discussion by council? If not, do I have a motion to approve this water agreement with Lincoln County as presented?
Make a motion, we approve it with Lincoln County, water agreement of $1.50 per thousand.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to accept the water agreement with Lincoln County as presented by City Manager Brian Dalton. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of this motion do so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And there is none. Okay, we will move on now to item 14, and this is consideration to set a public hearing, and this is in regards to rezoning Terrace Estates. And we have our Planning and Zoning Director, Richard Elam, that's here, and he will lead us through that. I didn't bring my...
Good evening.
I gave you 6 pages. What I'm requesting is a public hearing for January the 8th. The applicants, William and Deborah Hebner, applied on October the 31st for their properties, 33 acres, west of Black Rock School Road, to be rezoned from R12, which is single-family residential, to a cluster development, which is zoned as CZ R9. And we held our planning board meeting on November the 20th, and after a lengthy discussion, they voted unanimously to recommend denial of the application request, and they've sent it on to City Council for the public hearing, which City Council can come up with, their approval or rezone it to another status. Page 2 and 3 is the application. Page 4, I circled the property that was going to be relocated. It's behind the west of those houses on Black Rock School Road. And page 5 is just another larger showing the rezoning around the property, showing the Dewey Beams estate to the east is R15, and those houses to the east of Black Rock School Road are R15 also. The white you see with those numbers, that's Gaston County, that's out of our ETJ, and to the north, that's out of our ETJ. The darker color to the south is the Delview community. And page 6 is just a plat of their proposed, what they would do with the property if it is rezoned. And that's pretty much it. I'm just requesting a public hearing date.
Okay, I know we're not making any decision tonight, but I do have one question. Do we have any housing that is zoned under the requested zoning that they're asking for?
The two new developments. Two new developments are.
So the Strap property is.
And Rickway.
So I know we're only gonna set this wouldn't be the time to ask that, but I'm sure that's gonna come up. If you did one development, why aren't you okay in this one? And I would be anxious to know what planning and zoning problems was with issuing this, but that's neither here nor now, neither here nor now. But right now, all you want us to do is set a date. And okay, so it.
Is Mr. Hefner on the other side of Black Rock?
He's on.
Did he develop the other side of Black Rock, the existing development?
Piedmont had something to do with it.
Yeah, I believe they did.
I think he
Sure
did.
Colony Builders is working with Piedmont on this new development.
So it's a different developer?
I don't know who all was involved.
Well, I think what Mr. Hefner's doing now is he owns the land. He's developing the lots. Once the lots get, say, approved or whatever, then he's turning it over to Century Builders, and a national builder is gonna build the homes.
And maybe to answer your question, Council Member Hovis, if you go out there, if you go down Black Rock School Road, they already have the roads that will go back, that will join this property. So they're already there, so I'm thinking maybe he already owned that, or either he's asking for right of way to get to it. That's what I'm thinking, maybe he did.
Okay.
Or either all of a sudden he got right of way privileges. But there's one after you go in about the third house down on the left. And then there's one at the very end, before you get to the last house, the other road goes back there. But they already cut the roads into there. Okay, so really what I need is council's motion to set the public hearing for January the 8th, 2024. Do I have a motion from council?
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing at our next regularly scheduled council meeting of January 8th, 2024.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to set a public hearing date for January the 8th, 2024 to discuss the rezoning.
If y'all have any questions between now and then, feel free to call me, email me, or stop by the office.
Okay,
I'll be happy to work.
I'll be there. I will definitely be there. Okay. Thank you, Richard.
You're quite welcome.
No, we haven't. No, if there's any other discussion, you have something else? Oh, okay. Okay, we have the motion and second to set the public hearing for January the 8th, 2024. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. All opposed? It is unanimous. Okay, item 15 is consideration of surplus equipment, and Chief Brandon Hunsucker, if you'll go to page 40, I just missed it.
47.
Yeah, I know, but I flipped through it. There it is. Fingers too fat for these. There we go.
Good evening, Mayor.
All right, Chief, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First of all, congratulations to the three of you for being sworn in tonight. Look
Thank
forward to working with
Thank you.
you in the
Thank you
future.
very much, Brandon.
The police department is requesting to surplus an item. It is a Glock Model 19 handgun with 3 magazines. On your paperwork, you will see the serial number listed there. I'm not going to lay that out for security reasons. This handgun is the issued handgun for Captain Mark Stout. Mark Stout will be retiring at the end of the month. His first day of retirement will be January 1. His last day of work with us will be on the 29th of December. In the law enforcement profession, it is customary for the retiring officer to receive their handgun. In order to do that, we have to classify it as surplus, and then that weapon has to be purchased by Officer Stout. So my request is that we surplus this handgun, we sell the handgun to Captain Stout for $1, and then the sale would be completed at the Great Outdoors here in Cherryville. They are a federal firearms license dealer. They have agreed to do the paperwork for us to make the transfer legal and clear. So that is my request, is that we surplus that weapon and those 3 magazines.
Okay. One question I have, and it may already be customary, but does he receive his badge also?
He will also receive his badge, and I did not put that in there. I was actually gonna hold off and come back to the next one, but if you want to go ahead and surplus that too, it would be phenomenal.
Well, I just knew that was
It completely
customary.
slipped my mind.
I've given one away before, and it was the badge and the gun
Yeah,
at
it
the same
is
time.
and it's a gold captain's badge. Matter of fact, we've already purchased the new one, to replace that one when his is, retired out with him. So if you wanna add that in, I would be most gracious of that too.
Okay. All right, any questions for Chief Hunsucker? If not, I have a motion that we add that in and at the same time award the surplus equipment to be awarded.
I'll make a motion, we surplus the Glock handgun and add in the captain's badge and then surplus both those so that Captain Stout can have those on his retirement.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second to, with the amendment that we include the badge along with the handgun. So, any other discussion? If not, all in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And there is none. Okay, thank you, Chief. We'll move to item 16, consideration of architecture review board nominations. And we have our downtown Main Street Director, David Day, with us. And that's
48.
page, there, go again.
48.
have the floor.
City Council, thank you. As part of the bylaws and of the ARB, in 2021, we created new bylaws, which put a rotating basis on many of the members, so everybody didn't go off. Scott Beam, Tim Moss, and Stan Baumgartner have agreed to continue serving another period of 2 years. And so they are up for nomination. It's presented by the Main Street Program and Donna and myself to you guys. And then still current would be Doug Blackburn, Vicky Sperling, and Bess Thornburg, and they would be up for election next year. But we are asking that Scott Beam, Tim Moss, and Stan Baumgartner continue as representatives of the Architectural Review Board.
Okay. I have any questions from council to Main Street Director David Day in regards to the nominations?
I'm sorry,
Mhm.
they just meet as needed.
We normally meet the last Thursday of every month if we have grants to look at, but if we don't have any to look at, we don't meet. And if we have grants to approve, we do meet for them. So it's basically, we're supposed to meet it, we can meet the fourth Thursday of every month, but a lot of times we don't have grants or approvals or anything to meet.
The money gets used up pretty quick, doesn't it, sometimes? The money
Usually
amount.
about April,
Mhm.
going the end of the year. This year, we have already used our $10,000 in window grants for this year, so there will be no window grants available till the next budget year. And right now, we still haven't given out a lot of our 75, I think, of the money for regular grants for front, sides, rear, roof, and AC.
Facade.
Fire. Yes, sir.
This is just for Main Street,
Yes, ma'am. Our central business district.
just for the central business district.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have a motion from the council to accept the Architectural Review Board nominations from Downtown Director David Day for the coming year for 24 through 26.
I make a motion that we re-nominate Scott Bean, Tim Moss, and Stan Baumgartner for the next 2 years.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the Architectural Review Board nominations of Scott Bean, Tim Moss, and Stan Baumgartner for years 2024 through 2026. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. There is none. Unanimous. Okay, thank you, David. Okay. Next, item 18 is consideration of proposed cemetery rates. And we have our city clerk, Paige Green. That's going to be pages 49 through 52 in your packets. So you have the floor now.
Mayor and council, as you know, each year our contractor for our cemetery for the opening and closing of graves, Richard Green and Sons, they usually go up $5 or $10 on each of the items that you see listed there in your packet. I want you to know that I did get the price list from him November the 6th, and he will be going up $10 on cremation graves, $5 on baby graves, $10 on adult graves, 10 on oversized adult graves, and then the tent's not anything we worry about. That is actually with the funeral homes, but he sends the funeral homes the same copy. In the past, council's always decided to go up exactly what he was proposing. Or you can decide to go up, say $50, and then us not have an increase for a couple years. Of course, the decision is yours. It's just something to think about. It would make
Because we do this
keeping up
every
with
year.
the cost of these different items a lot easier if it was like a rounded number.
Yeah.
Instead of $285 being $300.
So, it's not a lot of money, and in my opinion, I like to keep it as low as possible for our departed, but it's not up to me, it's up to council, and if they have any questions for cemetery rates, our city clerk, Paige Green, will answer those.
How many years have they gone up?
Every year.
Every year.
Every year.
How many?
I've been on here for 10 years.
Since you were here.
Yeah, they go up
Usually
every.
goes up, he usually goes up $5 or $10, and he always says, it's the cost of fuel and different things that go up for him. And I understand that, and, we can decide to leave it as it is, or we can go up, or we can bump it up even higher, so we don't have to do it again next year.
I agree with you, H.
Yeah.
I do too. I think
I don't
we ought to
mind
do as
doing
low
it
as we
every
can.
year.
No, I don't either.
I've never seen more than $10 on one of those items, ever.
I think we should just go up the amount that he's going up and not increase it anymore.
And his rate is effective January 1, and so the hours would be too. That's why we do it at the December meeting.
The page, the 280 that you have for cremation, that is going to be our new rate?
No, you would add $10.
Okay, we'll add 10 to that, okay.
Yeah.
No, I apologize, it
I
would
s-
be 280. I'm sorry.
Okay,
It
so
would be
that is the new rate.
You're just
already.
showing what it
Just
went
showing
up.
that what he went up.
I got you.
Oh,
Makes sense.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Okay.
How am I reading this on page 50? On page 50, you got cremation grave opening, 395 to 405.
Yeah, if you look at.
It's those
page
4
50,
items.
in red to the side where, for the fees for grave opening and closing, what is in red is what our new fee would be if you adopt the amount that he is proposing to go up.
Gotcha.
Right.
okay.
Okay. Councilman Hovis, would you like to put that in the form of a motion to accept the proposed cemetery rates as presented?
I will make that as a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the proposed cemetery rates as presented by our city clerk, Paige Green. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to item 18, and this is consideration of a budget amendment, page 53, and City Manager Brian Dalton. This is just some bookwork.
Yes, Mayor, Council, these are always the type of budget amendments you like. This is donations. If you remember Mr. Strapp speaking at the first of the meeting, the cherry tree project, that $16,500 is from that donation for the cherry tree. And the $500,000 donation is the second installment from the community development agreement with Piedmont Lithium.
So that makes a total of 1 million.
Yes, for
Okay.
that agreement with Piedmont Lithium.
Okay. And this is just bookwork to keep
Yep.
Dixie on line with all the new money that's come in, so that she shows where it's going. Okay, any questions by council for city manager or finance director Dixie Wall?
Yes, Brian, I have a question on the 500,000.
Yes, ma'am.
How much of that's already been spent?
Well, none of it's actually been, well, let me back up. It's not actually been spent completely yet, but that 500,000 is what's gonna be used to build the splash pad. We have ordered material, which was about $85,000, I think. The splash pad in total is gonna be $348,000 to build. So that's 348 of that 500, and then the rest of it is gonna be used to fund our new recreation director for the next 2 years, the salary.
Okay.
And we might add that, Councilman Hovis, that money was restricted to recreation. So that's,
It was.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
When they donated, it was specified that it go for record, right.
To recreation.
Much.
Okay, what's the council's pleasure on the budget amendment as being accepted?
Make a motion, we accept the budget amendment as stated.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to accept the budget amendment as presented. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same, and there is none. Okay, we'll move on. Item 19, and I will stress on this, it's under other business, and I'll go ahead and put out what we have on other business that is relevant to our citizens. We've had so much questions, rumors, falsehoods, lies, whatever you want to call it, about the Historical Museum. And I want to read what this was prepared by City Council to present to you, considering the Historical Museum, to try to clarify where the position is for the city and for the museum. The city of Cherryville would like to try and explain the situation of the Historical Museum to the community. This has been a complicated process with a lot of rumors that have not been accurate information. It is true that the city of Cherryville was actively looking to recruit a nice restaurant for our downtown. A restaurant would complement the beautification project and would benefit our downtown businesses. It would give our citizens a fine dining option in Cherryville. There was interest from a local, highly successful restaurant. Accordingly, council made the decision to offer the building up for the public bid process. We received bids from citizens and Cherryville Main Street LLC. Cherryville Main Street LLC ultimately being the highest and winning bidder. It is our understanding that although it was not required to do so, Cherryville Main Street LLC was going to improve and maintain the museum in its current location. This was primarily because Cherryville Main Street LLC had purchased other buildings to support this restaurant in question. The museum then had the opportunity to remain in its current location. Subsequently, a lawsuit was filed by Al Putnam, the president of the Cherryville Historical Association. After multiple court continuances by Mr. Putnam, he voluntarily dismissed the lawsuit without prejudice. And I emphasize without prejudice, which means that the lawsuit can be refiled. Cherryville Main Street LLC elected at this time to terminate its bid because the lawsuit created a cloud on insurance and title, and the city could not convey marketable title. The city could not perform its obligations to Cherryville Main Street LLC due to the lawsuit. Therefore, the city accepted Cherryville Main Street LLC's request to terminate. Since these events, all board members of the Cherryville Historical Association have resigned, with the exception of Al Putnam, president, and Lori Pruitt. During this course of time, the city sent the museum a notification that it would not renew its lease with the museum for the year 2024. The city was required to send this notification during its period of anticipated sale because a condition of the lease was that it owns the building. So the city had to give the museum notice. At this time, the city still has no intention of renewing the lease until it is able to appoint and work with a new board. As previously noted as the reason for the sale, the building is in need of repairs and is not being used to its highest and best potential for our citizens. The city encourages all artifacts to remain in the historical museum, and a new board will be appointed by the city council in 2024. The city wants to be very clear that though the city desires to keep the museum in its current building located at 109 East Main Street, and the city will have a positive relationship with a newly appointed board. Once the new board is appointed, a new lease will be initiated with the newly appointed board of the Historical Association. So in surmising this, let me just say this. There is one individual that's prohibiting that museum from staying in its current location with all the artifacts that are within that building. And I would suggest that anytime you see this one individual that's holding everything up, that you please, as citizens of Cherryville, tell them that it's time to step down and appoint a new board. And that is where the city stands on this situation at this time. Now, I will open it up to any citizen that would like to be heard concerning what I have just read.
I'll say so.
Come to the podium, state your name and address.
Rusty Wise from 4 Johnson Drive. I know Boozy's not here. Mr. Dellinger's not here. He's not feeling well, but he has been in negotiations with Mr. Dalton and Al. And it's my understanding that Al was willing to drop everything if he could get something in writing that the museum would stay there. And the city did produce a 10-year utilities contract that the city would give the utilities for 10 years and also pay up to $500 per month on the lease. But it's my understanding that the negotiations between Mr. Dellinger and Mr. Dalton is no one will ever put in writing that it's going to stay the museum. Now, you said that, Mayor, but Cherryville Main Street LLC never would put it in writing that they were actually going to keep it a museum. They would never would say what they were going to do. So it's my understanding that if Cherryville Main Street LLC would have said, yeah, we're keeping it a museum, this would have been over with months ago. But nobody would ever put it in writing. It's my understanding that the museum wanted a 10-year lease. But they said, no, we're not going to do a lease. So is the city going to have, what's the lease going to be? Is it going to be a day, a year, or what's it going to be?
We are not going to negotiate with Al Putnam at all, and none of that will be done until a new board has been appointed.
Okay.
And
if
we
Al
do
chooses-
stand firm on that.
If Al chooses to take everything and move it out of the building, that's on him 100%. We're saying it can stay, but the board has to go. And that's very clear, that's their stance.
And I would tell you this, Mr. Wise, we have deep concerns over the leadership. And we look at it this way. That leadership has lost every single member that was on that board with the exception of one. So all these members have seen, they don't like the way that the museum's headed. So they pulled out. I know Linda Barger, Alice Dellinger, Anita Millwood, I can keep naming on and on. Amy Doster, Greg Pacer, all these people have resigned. Does that not tell the current leadership they don't like the way the leadership is in the direction they're sending them. And, but the city is firm, we're not gonna renew that lease with current leadership, that's it, period.
Okay. Well, I just know that negotiations between, Mr. Dalton and Mr. Dellinger and Al, that everything was going to be dropped if a lease was produced, but no one would ever produce a lease.
Yeah, but let me explain this. They don't need to be making demands to us. We need to be making demands to them. We own the building. We give them free utilities. We repair the building to the extent we spent some $48,000 in the last year, this current year, on that building. So, we definitely want to see it there. We've never had intentions that we didn't want it there. Our problem is with the leadership.
Yeah, I'm not here to take either side.
I know, I'm sure.
I'm really not.
Yeah.
I just thought, no one will ever put in writing that it's going to stay the museum.
But Mr.
Because
Wiles,
the current
I have to say,
leadership's still there.
that statement he just read is, you can consider that in writing. We choose to leave the museum there at 109 East Main Street, period.
But for how long today?
We
A
own,
week?
we own the building.
I
That
mean,
is
it
our
was
building.
almost a restaurant. Until the owner said he's not putting a restaurant in there. He didn't want to put it.
But that's what I'm saying, is your negotiations now are really with the city of Cherryville. The current board needs to be, the current board, we need a new board, and we're gonna issue a new lease. City council will choose a board, issue a new lease, and we move on. And that's why we encourage all artifacts to stay, and we encourage the museum to stay right there at 109 East Main Street.
Are you going to keep the same association?
I think that would be a good thing. I do. I do think the new bylaws that were presented to the city council, I guess about a year and a half ago.
From a former member,
Yeah, from the charter member.
charter member.
Those new bylaws probably need to be looked at as being adopted. But I think that is the best scenario for all citizens of the city of Cherryville.
Well, I know some of the families have contacted me, some of them concerned, some are on loan, some were given, and it's just, don't really know what the intent of the artifacts are, come January 1st.
Yeah, and that's why our stance is, if they'll just leave the artifacts, the museum's gonna stay there, and the museum's gonna continue to operate, and it's gonna get better. That's the goal. The goal is to get a new board in there and to move forward with the museum being exactly where it is.
There's a cloud over that leadership now anyway, because he became president really in the illegal meeting. He didn't even tell the current president that he was having a meeting that night, and they voted her out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
I have a question. If Mr. Putnam removes artifacts, would he be liable? I mean, what would Yancy, would there be,
It depends on what the bylaws say, for one, if they're on lease, if they're on loan, or if they are owned by the museum, and what the relationship is with the board and the city as to who owns those artifacts. But if he took things that belong to the city or any citizen that are not his, then by definition, that would be a taking. That could be potentially punishable by imprisonment or otherwise.
I can add
Yeah.
this to make it simple. How it all started is city manager, myself, and Councilmember Parker, who was the liaison to the museum, went to their meeting in a friendly manner and told them that we wanted input into the leadership for one reason. We understood from the current president that they couldn't have a meeting for everybody hollering and not respecting Robert's rules or anything else. So we told them, and we were immediately attacked by members saying, well, you're here to take us over. But let me tell you, we said, we'll do it diplomatically, just like we do the ABC board. You come to City Hall, go to City Clerk, get an application, tell us you want to be on the board at the museum. We will look at the applications and choose however many that would represent the city. The ABC board gives us an audit every year, tells us every penny they take in, every penny they spend. They give us free reins to their meeting minutes and everything. The museum has never, as long as I've been mayor of this city, has never given us an audit report, has never given us a financial report, has never told us what is going on with the hundreds of thousands of dollars that has been donated to them, that the city has no control over. It was donated to them, but yet they've not told us how it's being spent. Is it being spent on legal matters to sue the city? We don't know, because we've never seen a report from them. But that's what I would comment, and I'm done with this. And unless some council members have anything they want to say.
I'd like to speak.
But thank you, Mr. Wise.
So I'd like to speak just a minute.
Come to the podium, please. State your name.
So I'll just make a few comments. I'm Sid Strapp. I live at 207 West Academy Street. I joined the board in January, I believe, of 2022. And within 6 months, in that year, I think I was the second person to resign from the board of directors there. As been spoken before, the meetings were not meetings that I've served on other boards of 501(c) nonprofit corporations, and I've never witnessed anything that went on there. Now, look, I realized it's a small town, so we were trying to get along. But I'll just say this, to Rusty's point. Look, what the Main Street LLC, their involvement is done. It doesn't matter at this point what the Main Street LLC promised or didn't promise. We're now at a point that the city, they still own the building. We need to move forward, folks. This has been going on too long. And I understand this should be operated, I think, just like we do with the Cherryville Little Theater, other groups in town. There's nothing wrong with having the city appoint, looking at resumes, who really wants to be involved? What's in their, are they really interested in history and preserving this? I think it's a great thing that we move that direction, and that's one reason why I was sort of forced out, because I was on that side. I don't want to go into disparaging other people, but, we need a fresh slate. By the way, Mr. Putnam, I am not looking to join the new board. I think in sometimes that's what started this whole thing, is that he was so irate with me and my asking questions that it was to go to, there were no lengths that he would go to try to keep this thing in turmoil and move forward. However, again, it's over, that's all done, it's in the past. I support the council's direction to move this thing forward in that. And I do ask people, please talk to Mr. Putnam. Please talk to Ms. Lori Pruitt. Lori Pruitt is the other single remaining member. Here's my last point. I reviewed those bylaws when I joined the board, because having been served on these before, I said, that's the first thing, where are the bylaws? Well, they're back in a cabinet somewhere in the bylaws. I said, how do we know we're running this thing correctly if we don't know what we're bound legally to do as a 501(c)(3) nonprofit corporation? We finally got that out, and I'll say this. One of the downfalls of those bylaws, and who would have thought this, it can continue to operate, I believe, with as few as one person on the board. Whoever wrote them never thought that something like this would come about, where you would have a mass exodus and you were left with 2 people. So my appeal is to Mr. Putnam and Ms. Pruitt to do the right thing for this town. There's been enough bad blood and bad, name calling, all this stuff. Let's move forward. Cherryville's got so much going right now, and this museum could be a top draw, I'm telling you, for out-of-town visitors. gotta get moving, folks. So, thank you, council, that's my.
Okay, anyone else like to be heard concerning this matter? Here's your chance. Okay, if not, I would, ask for any other business from, council they would like to bring up at this time.
I'd like to bring up, I've watched a couple of the county commissioners' meetings recently. I've talked to several county commissioners. Their citizens to heard is limited to 3 minutes, and it's always been plenty of time. I don't know why we give 5 minutes. Even the gentleman that spoke earlier did not use the entire 5. So I would like to maybe have us, discuss changing that to 3 minutes instead of 5. I think 3 minutes is a lot of time to get your point across. If you get up here and you tell your point and you don't beat around the bush, where you don't chew us out for 5 minutes. So I'd like to see us change that from 5 to 3. Like I said, the county does it. I know other towns only give 3. I don't know why we ever gave 5, but
And that other organization's only 2, it's only 3 minutes.
yeah, I think that's plenty of
3
time.
minutes to state what you want to talk about.
Okay, do you wanna put that on January the 8th council meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can discuss it at the work session and then vote on it on January 8th, if that's okay with
Okay.
everybody. Put it on our agenda for the work session.
Okay, so this is just direction for
Yeah.
our city clerk, city manager. Okay. I have any other business from city staff?
Let me say,
Oh, okay. Wait a minute.
report on the, maybe you wanna do that anyway, on the recreation director position?
yes, we received 5 applications, I believe, for the recreation director position. I'm gonna start interviewing, this week is the first interview on Wednesday, and I have another individual that, is coming home from college, for break, and I'm gonna try to interview him, he's home on his break, and then I'm gonna try to interview some of the other candidates, probably start of the first of the year.
Any progress on getting this, screen up at Edwards Park?
Not yet, but we will get it, I promise.
No, I'll keep asking you.
I promise we'll get it.
Alright.
I promise. I will say, I know the mayor mentioned it earlier, the fence did get installed today at Westgate around the basketball court. So it is up.
Good.
Cause I was out there a couple days ago, wasn't I?
Yes, it's up. So the fence
I
is
did
around
too.
the basketball and the pickleball at this time. Yep, they finished it today. So what I'm gonna try to do is, get Chief Walford to get his guys to go out there and wash the road down, the court down, clean it up, and, hopefully we can have a reopening of Westgate here in the near future.
You might wanna mention too that we did plant new grass
We
and
have planted new grass, straw.
straw
all that.
down to keep the mud from,
Yeah, hopefully
washing
it
out
takes
on
root
our
soon.
new road.
One
Okay.
other thing, I told my neighbor, I'd bring up, police chief still here? We had a complaint about speed on East Academy Street. Can you?
I just talked to him about that before the meeting. He's gonna put the signs up. He's gonna move
For
them.
approximately 3 weeks. We got some really good feedback. I think it's the comment that the mayor made last meeting. There were very few speeders out of thousands of cars. Out of those thousands, I could give you true numbers. I don't have that actually with me, but I can share that with you. Mr. Abernathy asked me earlier about moving the signs to the east side, and we will try to get that done this week.
Okay, thank you.
We might
Told
have
him I'd
some.
ask you.
Yeah, I had somebody, thank you.
Okay, if nothing else from, council,
One other thing I was gonna need y'all to look at is, city offices will be closed, December 25th, 26th, and 27th for Christmas. And obviously, the 26th is what our scheduled work session would be, to see about possibly rescheduling our work session to the 28th maybe.
Is everybody gonna be here on the 28th will be a Thursday?
That would be a Thursday, yes.
I got no problem.
Y'all feel good?
I thought I might, but I'll just be here.
Now, we'll do this at 5:30,
Yes.
so
yes.
we'll, should be out of there fairly quick.
Work session.
You'll be all
What's this old shoot?
So you need a motion to do that?
Yes,
Yeah.
we'd need a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion to change our December work session to Thursday, the 28th at 5:30 here in council chambers.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, have a motion and a second to reschedule the normal work session for December to December 28th. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. There is none. Okay,
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
okay, have a motion for adjournment in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, there is none. We are adjourned.